Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. As the title of this video suggests, we're discussing cases becoming the metric. And the reason I was thinking of this came from a recent article in the Bangkok Post, BangkokPost.com. Article is titled, Daily Cases May Hit 100K by Songkran. And let's stress some language here. May hit and also cases. Not deaths, cases. Okay? Quoting further, COVID-19 daily caseloads could top 100,000 baht, by the Songkran Festival in the middle of next month in the worst case scenario. You know, I mean, I really love the way the media has sort of done some of the reporting on this. It's like saying lightning strikes up 10% because 10 total people around the world died this year and the usual number is 9. You know, I mean, you can kind of frame anything in any way you want it, you know. According to the Department of Disease Control. Quoting further, whether the level of infections will drop or intensify in the weeks ahead depends on how strictly COVID-19 precautions are adopted. And again, I really have to question some of that because if these precautions work so well, why haven't they worked? And I state that the reason I thought of this, I was watching the film Moneyball the other night, for anybody who's familiar. It's a movie about baseball. It's got Brad Pitt in it, Jonah Hill. And there's a line in the film. It's basically about a general manager who's sort of trying to change the paradigm of how recruiting is done in baseball. And, you know, he's doing it from a much more data-centric approach. And it just kind of got me thinking about this whole situation when there's this line where, you know, all the scouts are talking about how great a swing somebody had. Oh, he's got a great swing. He's doing, you know, and he says, well, can he hit? And he says, yeah, he's coming along. And he says, well, if he can hit, why doesn't he hit good? You know, and he's looking at the data and he says, well, if he can hit, why doesn't he hit good? You know, and that's sort of been my thing throughout this whole, you know, issue is, you know, if these precautions worked, why didn't they work good? You know, I mean, that's kind of the way I look at it. Meanwhile, again, back to cases, the reason we got stuck under all these draconian restrictions and these restrictions that had a substantially and still are having a substantially negative impact on the overall economy. I mean, we've still got truncated opening times for various venues. We've still got all kinds of restrictions associated with what people can do and under what circumstances. And I frankly fail to see in most cases how they're anything other than cosmetic at this point under many circumstances. But moving away from this article where it's talking about cases, I thought this was very interesting. Also from the Bangkok Post, BangkokPost.com, article is titled, Shifts to quote unquote endemic forecast within 4 months. Kiatipum Wonggrajit, Permanent Secretary for Public Health. Let's note this again. Permanent Secretary for Public Health said the fatality rate in the current Omicron wave is significantly lower than during the previous outbreak. Well, the reason we started doing this was the fear of substantial deaths. Okay, well, going back to the beginning, nobody knew what it was. And, you know, I've said before and I'll say it again, I think reasonable people could say, hey, when you didn't know what it is and there's a chance of substantial death, it's, you know, maybe some precautions are in order, some inordinate ones. I don't think we needed to go as far as we did, but let's leave that aside. And with respect to this issue, where, again, from the Permanent Secretary for Public Health says the fatality rate is significantly lower, and then everything now is about cases, my question is, why the narrative shift? You know, why the paradigm shift? I think reasonable people would say if imminent death may be a prospect or widespread casualties or something, maybe some precautions are in order. But when in history, in all of humanity, have we substantially upended our lives because of illnesses? People get sick. It happens in this world. You know, now, if an illness rises to the level of, a plague that's killing everybody, yeah, that's a different scenario. But where we're in a situation where, 100,000 cases, well, how many hundreds of thousands of colds were had in 2014? How many tens or hundreds of thousands of cases of the flu occurred in 2014 here in Thailand, for example? I mean, I don't have that data in front of me, and frankly, I'm not an epidemiologist. I'm not a medical person. I'm not saying that. But my point is, this has had a substantial impact on the legal rights and people's just basic prerogatives for a substantial period of time now. 2 years we're coming up on now. The promulgation of the emergency decree will have happened 2 years ago, I believe, March 26th. 2 years of our lives have been paused. 2 years of our economy has been put on ice, and it was because of death. It wasn't because people got sick. It was because of the prospect that lots of people could die. If that isn't the prospect, then isn't it time to move on?